Caitlin. Caitlin, do you want to start us off and pass it to the next person?
Hello, I'm Caitlin Davidson. I'm on the east side of Portland, and I'm a member of PCCEP. I will pass it over to Tia.
Unmuting. Hello, my name is Tia Palafax. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a member of PCCEP and currently the co-chair of the Policy and Reform Subcommittee. And I will pass it on to Conrad.
Thanks, Tia. I'm Conrad Hewlin. I use he, him pronouns. Looks like I'll be one of the two outgoing full committee co-chairs today. Caitlin, I like that. I'm in Southwest Portland. We'll pass it over to Jorge.
Hey everyone, I'm also your other outgoing interim co-chair along with Conrad, and I am in Northeast Portland. Same with Tia. Me and Tia are in the same neighborhood. I'll pass it over to Kip.
Howdy, my name's Kip Silverman. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the outgoing co-chair of the Policy and Reform Subcommittee along with Tia, been serving, and yeah, I like the I'm in St. John's. I'm in District 2. Go D2. And pass that over to Fasika.
Hi everybody, my name is Fasika.
Fasika, sorry.
Member, no, it's all good. I am a PCCEP member and I live in Northeast Portland. I'll pass it to Pastor Robin.
Are you with us, Pastor Weisner? Oh, I think we can hear you.
No, I don't think he can.
Okay, well, Pastor Weisner is here. We note that, and
Gabby.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm a member of the policy committee, and I live on Mount Tabor. Pastor Weisner, back to you.
Oh no.
I don't think he will be able to get on. Vanessa?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. My pronouns are she, her. I live in District 4.
All right, I think that's all our PCCEP members. And now I'll invite city staff, PPB, independent monitor folks to introduce themselves. I will also note that for this meeting, we did let the PPB liaisons know, since it was an internal procedural meeting, they would probably not be needed for this conversation. So they were open to being here, but we did share that with them just so everyone's aware. So I'll start. I'm Dory Grubinski, PCCEP Program Manager, and I am currently in the Portland building, but I reside in District 3.
Woo.
I'll go next because I'm in the room with Dory. Also in the Portland building, Liz Taylor, PCCEP Program Coordinator, she, her. I am a District 4 resident.
Great, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Iman. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator and just finished my first month. Happy to be here. And I live in Sherwood, so no districts.
All right, go ahead, other city staff and community members, please introduce yourselves in the chat if you would like.
Okay, I'll dive in. Christopher Taft, he, him pronouns from Mayor Wilson's office.
Good evening, all. Antoinette Edwards, she, her, associate monitor.
All right, that may be it for staff this evening, and let's go to our community agreements. Fasika, would you like to read these for us once they're up?
Where is all of them?
Yep.
Listen actively and respectfully, share airtime, be present and open to new information and perspectives, assume positive intent, respect each other, respect the group, Speak your own truth, communicate directly, honestly, and respectfully, ask questions to clarify, call out bias, be okay with ambiguity.
Thank you. All right. So an overview of the meeting for today, a lot of internal procedural stuff as we've been saying. So we'll start with a number of updates and then we will move straight into elections for our 26-27 leadership positions. Very exciting. Then we'll get into subcommittee assignments and a couple of other internal process matters, and we will conclude with open public comment. All right. Getting into updates here. Okay, so just to start with, a quick overview of what we have planned for the spring, or really just May. So next week we will be jumping right into our first community engagement subcommittee, which PCCEP is restarting next week, once we elect chairs this evening. So that meeting, the agenda for that meeting, staff will support the new chairs in getting that together. In particular, Iman, who will be supporting that subcommittee moving forward. So yeah, that's next Wednesday. Policy and Reform Subcommittee may or may not happen this month at the discretion of the new chairs. And then we have our steering committee meeting scheduled for May 27th. That will be hybrid, location TBD. And that will replace the full committee meeting for May. And moving on. All right, so, and I'll invite other PCCEP members to share about this if you would like, but so just sharing the very exciting update that PCCEP has officially been codified as a permanent city program as a part of our city code. That came forward as an emergency ordinance, co-sponsored by Mayor Wilson, Councilor Connaught, and Councilor Novick. And we are extremely grateful to that team of folks for being the group to get this over the finish line. Very, very grateful. A couple of changes. The most notable changes are that the size of the body will now be 15 members. So we'll be recruiting and appointing some new members soon. And then the youth age range was changed to 15 to 23. I believe it previously was 16 to 23. Yeah. And I think just on the next slide, I have just an acknowledgement of truly the decade plus of work that has gone into this effort. It is really a big deal to codify this body. And so we especially want to thank the community members here tonight and not here tonight who came out and spoke in support of PCCEP and who have been supporting the mission of this group behind the scenes and in public for nearly a decade. Very special. Do any PCCEP members want to share thoughts about codification or anything?
Yeah. Only thing I'll add is that after some spirited debate, it was unanimous vote. And I really appreciate all the work that went into those conversations and the fact that even counselors that have not really engaged with us a ton still saw the value in our work, and especially Christopher and all he was doing to shepherd that in. So kudos to all of them.
Absolutely.
I'll also add that I was really touched by all of the feedback and comments that we got from different members of the community on the impact of PCCEP's work. Being someone that's new to Portland and new to PCCEP, it was really amazing to witness the impact that this committee has on the community.
Agreed. That was really great to hear. Anybody else? All right. Moving along. Okay, so a lot happened in April. So we also had this event, the community conversation on the PPA contract. Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. And that came forward as a result of the requests that the community here voiced to PCEP to make sure that this event happened like it did in 2019. Would anyone who attended that like to share kind of their impressions of the event or any takeaways you had? Maybe not.
I can say something.
Go ahead.
At each table I was at, I felt a distrust of police. And it was interesting because I also had someone who saw I was from PCEP and was concerned that that was pro-police. And then someone was like, no, I think they're more anti-police. So it's kind of interesting what the perspective is. And I was saying we're ambivalent. And just I did give some of my ideas, and it was interesting hearing from everyone, and people shared some personal experiences, and from their personal experiences, that's why they had that distrust. So we all listened. It was really good.
Thanks, Tia.
Houselessness and mental health seem to be themes that came up very frequently in the conversations that I was listening to.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts? I know Pastor Weisner was there. I'm not sure if he I don't know, just an audio check, Pastor Weisner. Seems like maybe we still are working on that. Yeah, it was a great event. PCEP co-hosted this with the Bureau of Human Resources, and we are working with them to share all that feedback, and they will produce a report about you know what the bargaining team what was shared with the bargaining team as they move forward in the negotiation process. All right, and moving on. Okay, so just wanted to include some space here for any members who have recently gone on a ride along or attended PPB Community Academy to share any thoughts that you had, observations from that experience. Just want to have some space in the meeting to debrief those.
I thought that the community academy was really informative in a multitude of ways. I think that for people that may have an inherent distrust for, the police when it comes from like a cultural standpoint, and maybe not like specific instances that they've had experiences directly, I think that it could be a really good resource for people to kind of understand a little bit more, because knowledge is power and having more information is always good. I think it also helps you kind of create some connections with people in the PPB, so you could maybe actually have some personal connections and ask them the questions that you have and bring up the concerns that you have. So I think in that way it was really valuable, aside from how fun it was to like role play. You're basically like a cop for the day for half of the day, and it was really fun to actually go through scenarios and be like, oh, this is why they approach it this way, oh, this is why they do that, because you do some things and then watch how things can go sideways, and then you go, oh, this makes sense now. So there were some things that were really good, and don't get me wrong, there were some moments where it did definitely feel kind of like, this is why we do the things we do, not just let us inform you, where it did feel a little bit leading a time or two, but in general, it felt like an earnest, hey, this is just a look inside of the force in it. I really did like that. And then the ride along was cool. I mean, it doesn't give you a whole purview of everyone, right? It doesn't give you the whole police force. It gives you the one person you rode with. But, you know, the person I rode with was very respectful to people and was accommodating to somebody that they had to arrest, and was accommodating to their needs while they did that, and you know, remained calm, and it was good.
I went, but I will admit I showed up late. And when I arrived, the first thing that they showed was a video of somebody getting shot 8 times. And I was like, I'm out. I hate this. I try not to watch those videos. I really didn't like the discussion around that. And granted, I had a conversation with like the man who was putting on the event, at least when I was there. I didn't like the conversation around that video. I have concerns about the way police are being trained using these videos. And I think that was a great example of like how videos, how the discussion should go around the rare occasion. I mean, I'm not going to get too into it, but I did not like it. I did not like the discussion, and I did not want to be there any longer. I also thought it was very strange that they showed that video and they're like, and now we're off to the shooting range. And I did not like that. And I did not want to be there any longer. And I said that several times, but I know I have to go again, but I did not like it.
I know we have things to do, but can you explain, and not just because honestly it was a whole day and I don't remember specifics of that conversation anymore. What direction was the conversation? Do you know what I'm saying? What was the tone? What is it?
Yeah, so it was like the conversation was around like use of force. Well, actually, the conversation wasn't around use of force. It was just this video where we show this guy get shot 4 times. He doesn't go down. He hits the officer's gun. Like he gets right up in the face of this officer. The guy drops his knife. The cop steps back, shoots him 4 more times, and he finally goes down. So this is a very rare occasion where you can shoot somebody 4 times in like 10 feet and they don't go down. Like that is, I think, very scary for officers to see. He did pose the question, why do you think the guy would reach down to grab his knife? From which the response from the audience was, to finish the job. So I think that that's a problematic conversation to have when using video of a lethal shooting for police training.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the details.
Conrad, were you gonna respond to that, or did you also have? Go ahead, Conrad.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair call out for the Community Service Academy. There's definitely some things and that we could recommend because I didn't really have an issue when I went with the instruction, but what I did have an issue with was how some of the other community members attending handled the narrative and took over the discussion and led it astray from what I thought was the point. So I think that's a great call out. I want to just celebrate a win on the ride along. Officer I was paired with Friday night, Old Town, Chinatown. It was actually an amazing experience. And it was an amazing experience because that officer became an officer from PDX Clean and Safe. And so that's something when we get more down the road and we're making more recommendations and working with PPB, I think that's a call out of that's a winning recipe. This is an officer who's built up relationships around the park blocks, around Chinatown. And so he's able to talk to folks peer to peer. And we were able to follow up on a runaway teen. We were able to follow up on a suspected domestic violence. We were able to follow up on an assault. And it's because it's somebody who's familiar with the neighborhood. So I thought that was a huge win and just deserves to be lifted up a little bit.
Go ahead, Vanessa. Thanks for that, Conrad.
In my ride along, there was definitely a theme to every call. It was during the day, and it was on the west side of town, and that theme was mental health. That characterized literally every single call that we had. I really enjoyed hearing from the officer that I was with about his philosophy towards policing and its role in Portland. I recognize that if he's someone that's going to volunteer to do a ride along with a PCEP member, that he may not necessarily represent the beliefs of all of the officers in PPB, but he really leaned much more strongly towards public safety and kind of talked about, like, if he sees something that's happening in the community, that he really has this measuring stick of how, if it's going to impact the safety of the overall community, or is it just somebody just doing something. He had some extra mental health training, and there was a pediatric psychiatric emergency where officers were requesting an officer like this one who had special mental health training. So seeing him interact in that capacity was really eye-opening. I've had a lot of mixed feelings about policing, and so this gave me another perspective that's definitely making me rethink and continue to evolve and change.
Thanks, Vanessa. Go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, by the way, Leslie, PCEP member, she, her. I know I didn't introduce myself. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it tonight. But I was, so I also attended the community academy. I haven't been able to do my ride along yet, but I had a very similar experience to Gabby with my community academy. And I think when we debriefed on that, it was very much, when we debriefed on that at the time, it did seem to be very much like geared toward, like, this job is very hard and it's very dangerous, and here are all the dangerous scenarios that the police have to encounter and why they may be reactive. So I just want to validate that perspective because I definitely felt that as well.
Thanks, Leslie. Any more discussion or experiences on these ride-alongs or community academy?
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to find my raised hand. Fasika, go ahead.
No, do you want to go first? You can go first. Okay. I just wanted to add on. I like, for the first half of the ride along was very fun for me. I'm not gonna lie. We did it in the downtown area, and it was just fun how, like, seeing how police officers are tackle, like, certain problems. We arrested one person, and I felt like there's like a compassion fatigue when it comes to police officers because they're used to arresting somebody so much. The compassion is not there anymore. At least that's what I noticed from like seeing how the police was interacting with the person he arrested, whatever, in the back, and the whole interaction. I'm just like, there's no way you're feeling comfortable saying this to a person with a clear mental disability. But yeah, I think that made me think of, like, I don't know if the compassionate feeling is there anymore when it comes to people they're arresting. But other than that, it was a good perspective to have.
Yeah.
You're on your phone using it right now.
Kip?
Yeah, so I haven't done my ride along with PPB yet, but I did do one with Portland Street Response, and that's also available to us, so I highly recommend it. I got firsthand understanding of just how challenging their job is, chasing calls all over town with only a handful of people, and the intention of their interactions, which the narratives that get into the news don't match the reality of it. It was really informative. I realized just how much these people really care and how frustrated they are when they don't have the coordinated services they need to do right by people. It was a really impactful experience. So I also highly recommend any of us out there see if we can do a ride along with PSR as well.
Thanks all. I mean, we did include this as an update, but it sounds like there's some themes that definitely might be that you might be interested in following up on. So I encourage folks to connect on that and whether it's share via email or put it on a future agenda. It sounds like there's a lot to explore here. And also, yeah, clearly a lot to learn from these experiences. So thank you all for attending those. All right. So just moving us along through this agenda here. I believe that finishes the updates for us, and moves us right into elections. So Frida is going to help us out with this. I do know Pastor Weisner did inform us he's planning to run for a position, and we are working to get him connected. So we might be we'll play that by ear. But let's kind of introduce this in the process, and we'll play that by ear. So Afrida, I will turn this over to you.
All right, outstanding. Good evening, everyone, and I'm very excited to get these elections started. So to just go over the positions that are available, there's 1 to 2, it could be 1 or 2 community engagement subcommittee co-chairs. And their primary responsibilities will be to lead the monthly in-community meetings and set agendas grounded in engagement goals, guide outreach priorities with the community engagement coordinator to ensure diverse representative input, and synthesize and elevate key themes into clear deliverables for policy and reform. Then there's the subcommittee meetings. Then there's the second one, the 1 or 2 people to sit on the policy and reform subcommittee co-chair. And they set analysis priorities based on community engagement input and policy relevance, guide research and development of recommendations and policy options, ensure clear, actionable, and actionable recommendations, and are prepared for full committee review. And lastly, there is the full committee co-chairs positions. And that's for 2 individuals. And they set the agendas for the full committee meetings and facilitate decision-making processes, guide review, refinement, and approval of recommendations and key materials, and serve as primary liaisons representatives representing PCCEP, including while advancing recommendations to the mayor and chief of police.
Trying to get on.
So, next slide, please. All right. So the term of these roles are 1 year. And according to the bylaws state that no member may serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same leadership position. Next. The way this process will go, members may raise their hands to nominate themselves or someone else. Candidates will respond to 1 question, 3 minutes max, and members may ask follow-up questions. If fewer than two candidates, vote may take place in meeting or on a secret ballot at the discretion of the committee. If greater than 2 candidates, the vote must take place via secret ballot sent to members' emails. So when we have the secret ballot process lined up, if there are more than 2 candidates for a particular seat. So at this time, we'll move into this process for the full committee co-chair nominations. Please raise your hand to nominate yourself or someone else for the co-chair positions. All right, we have.
So Pastor Weisner did share with us in advance that he would like to run for this position as well. And I know, I'm not even sure if, is he on? Pastor Weisner, can we do an audio
He's
check?
here. He raised his hand. He raised his hand. Pastor Weiser, can you? Oh, he just disappeared.
I don't know if you can hear me. I'm
Oh,
on my
can
phone.
hear you now.
yes, we can hear you now, Pastor.
Excellent.
Yeah, my
Thank
computer
you.
is not
you.
working, but the phone is working.
Okay, beautiful. As long as
As
he's
long as you
connected.
can talk, Pastor.
Yes,
Okay.
Frida, I'll let you continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So it looks like there's 2 or is there 3 people who
I
have
was nominating Pastor Weisner.
Okay. All right. So Pastor Weisner it has a nomination, and I see Kip is raising his hand to go ahead, Kip. Nominate yourself or nominate someone else.
Yeah, not I guess nominating myself.
All right. Is there anyone else who would be interested in running for the full committee co-chair role? All right. It appears that there's just 2. So we'll go ahead and move into the question portions of this. Do we have the questions on the slide for folks? Excellent. Pastor Weiser, would you be able to answer these questions first?
Would you be able to read it? My screen is small.
Absolutely. I can read you the questions. So I'll read you the questions. You'll have up to 3 minutes to respond to the question, and then there will be a period of time afterwards that'll allow your fellow committee members to ask you questions if they have it.
Okay, great.
All right. So there's 2 questions. There's three questions total. But first off, why do you wish to serve as co-chair?
It would be a great honor to be able to sit as a co-chair for the work that PCCEP has done, from serving from the past to moving into the new area of where we are now. Hopefully, to be able to help bridge and be able to communicate with all of the things that PCCEP has historically, as well as where and what we see as a working group going forward. That was the reason why I would love to serve as co-chair.
Okay. Thank you for that. We'll just and to follow up, could you please speak to what leadership looks like to you in this role?
And I'm hoping I answer the question and have it. I'm writing it down as you give it to me.
I can say it again.
What leadership looks like to me in this role?
Yes.
A person that's able to sit at the table, to be able to navigate and to be able to bridge all sectors of policy, uh, committee roles, as well as looking at areas of what it would be able to do as being able to have the integrity and the working relationship throughout the city, as well as with each member. Lead by example, I should say.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Weisner. For your committee members, are there any questions about for Pastor Weisner at this point before he answers the second question? Okay. Pastor Weisner, one last question. How would you represent the perspectives of both committee members and members of the community?
Would you repeat that one more time? Represent
Absolutely.
perspective.
Now, how would you represent the perspectives of both committee members and members of the community?
Perspective from a community member is to be able to reflect what it is that the pulse of the community and engaging in areas of where I see the gaps are, where that communicating as well as bringing the perspective of the hope along with the way the direction of the city that is going in public safety as a member of the community, uh, but then as a member of the PCEP, it would be great to be able to represent the perspective across the board that I have served in every areas of community, such as the perspective of every representation that I have worked along in areas of serving each ethnic and diversity groups that has uh, wanting to bridge a greater amount of knowledge of policies, public safety, as well as police procedures. I hope I'm answering that, representing the perspective of both community as well as a member.
Thank you, Pastor Wisener. Are there any questions for Pastor Wisener and his decision to run for this role? Okay, thank you, Pastor Wisener. Kip, I turn to you now. Could you just begin to just share a little bit as to why do you wish to serve as co-chair?
Yeah, I kind of combine that first question with the overall question with the first question. So essentially, I'm passionate about the work that we do, and as co-chair, I would intend to be representative of the committee as a whole on the amazing and difficult work that we all signed up to do. I intend to make sure that as I represent PCEP, that there's full transparency on each meeting and conversation, and that there will be reports on how things went. So there is a dialogue around everything we do as co-chairs. From a leadership perspective, I'll be very proactive working with our city staff and liaisons to understand the deeper work that public safety and related bureaus are doing to ensure the work or what we focus on has the greatest impact.
Okay, wonderful there, Kip. And thank you for wrapping in that first question in your response as to what the leadership would look like to you in this role. And I'll just go ahead and ask you the second question and then turn it over to the audience if they have any questions for you. How would you represent the perspectives of both the committee members and members of the community?
Yeah. As co-chair of policy and reform the last 2 years, I've attempted to do that very thing. What I do is intend to make all PCEP meetings as I possibly can, or review the video so I can have some firsthand understanding of what transpired in the conversations that were held, but also meet regularly with subcommittee co-chairs to discuss agenda setting and communications outside of the meeting structure itself, so I can learn from their perspectives and the experiences that they had as well. What the last 2 years of being a policy and reform co-chair taught me is that while we can have very difficult conversations, it's our shared values that drive the intentions, even if our visions on how to get there differ. And now that we're codified as a committee, tend to build upon the good work we've already done and expand our presence and work as much as possible, representing both PCEP community and hopefully keep having these fruitful and important conversations.
Okay, thank you, Kip. Are there any questions for Kip in his running for this role of co-chair for the full committee? Doesn't appear to be any questions. And if you are raising your hand and you're not using your virtual hand, could you just please make sure you use your virtual hand so I could see it on the screen? Okay. So at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to the committee to decide whether or not you all will do on-screen vote, or would you like to do a secret ballot since there's only two people running for this role. So how would the full committee like to do that?
I'm fine with on screen.
On screen.
On screen.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone not okay with on screen? All right. So at this time, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. And Dory, since it's two folks, how could you just share how that will break down as far as the voting is concerned?
Historically, we call the roll for each nominee. And I will also note that you are allowed to vote for yourself. So I recommend you do cast that vote. So yeah, typically we would just do it one at a time.
All right. So, and I just go down and call folks by name and ask them who they're voting for, or just raise their virtual hand.
No. So because there are two positions and each member can cast two votes, it would say, I think we could do sort of the way we typically vote in meeting, which would be, raise your virtual hand if you would like to cast a vote for Kip, do that, and then separately raise your, and of course members can cast two votes because there are two positions. So,
of course. Yeah. All right. So at this time, get your fingers ready for your virtual hand. All those who are in favor of electing Kip to the role of co-chair of the full committee, please raise your virtual hand.
I'm having difficulties here.
we will note your hand, Pastor Weisner.
Okay.
If that is your
say, don't make me not vote for you, man. No.
Well, of all days to have a difficult time with this computer.
All right.
I just can't imagine.
Excellent. You may lower your virtual hands. Leslie, could you lower your virtual hand? Thank you. Was that a unanimous vote? That felt like a unanimous vote. Excellent. Wonderful. Now we'll move over to Pastor Weisner. All those in favor of electing Pastor Weisner as the second co-chair of the full committee, please raise your virtual hand. Pastor Weisner, that virtual hand worked that time.
What I'm doing is staying here where I can find it. I'm not moving from this spot.
Wonderful. It looks like another unanimous vote. Congratulations, PCCEP. You have elected your two co-chairs for your full committee members, Kip and Pastor Weisner.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Yay! Congratulations.
All right. On to the subcommittees. Oh, that was super hard. All right. So, Tia, could you go ahead and lower your virtual hand?
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So now we're going to move to the community engagement co-chair nominations. Please raise your hand to either nominate yourself or someone else for this co-chair positions. All right. I see two hands. Jorge?
I nominate Tia.
All right. Thank you, Jorge. Leslie?
I'm nominating myself.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. And Tia, you raised your hand there.
Yes, I wanted to nominate myself as well, but Jorge did it, so.
Right on. Is there anyone else who would like to either nominate themselves or nominate someone else from the group? Okay. Looks like the two folks who are up for the co-chair positions are Tia and Leslie. Let's go ahead and move to the second slide. Excellent. Tia, we'll have you go ahead and go first. Right as you went to take a sip. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I feel like I have a little bit of an allergy because my nose is dripping and I have a little bit of a cough, so hopefully I sound okay.
Okay, well, you sound great right now, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Tia, could you share with the committee why do you wish to serve as co-chair of the Community Engagement Subcommittee?
Okay. Well, I would like to be a co-chair because I feel like I can see the big picture, and I really like to challenge myself and use my organizational skills. I love showing up and I'm dedicated. But for community engagement, I just really love our community. I'm passionate about engaging, and I'm genuinely interested in people's concerns and building relationships and connecting people together. I really enjoy going out to meet people.
Outstanding. Yeah. Tia, could you share a little bit about what leadership looks like to you in this role?
It would look like building relationships with people, connecting people together, really listening to people's concerns, and going out and being in the community, meeting people. And it would be bringing back people's concerns and really helping people engage in the community, in the subcommittee meetings, as well as other events that we may have.
Okay. And lastly, could you share how you would represent the perspectives of both the committee members and the members of the community?
Wait, me? Or
Yes, you,
it's
Tia.
okay. Sorry, I thought you
And
said Leslie.
oh,
Okay.
I apologize. No, it was for you. I can say it again.
I really feel like I'm a good listener, and I want to listen to people's concerns, and then I would like to share what people are saying, what I heard and learned from other people, including my own experiences.
Okay. Thank you, Tia. Are there any questions for Tia and her desire to hold this role as a co-chair of the subcommittee? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Tia.
Thank you for your time.
Leslie, can you share why do you wish to serve as co-chair?
Yeah, so the primary reason that I want to serve as co-chair is because I see now that we have the expanded capacity with the new community engagement coordinator role, I see the opportunity to stand up systems that will really impact and further PCCEP's work within public safety. So I want to tap into that and help form that so that it basically extends beyond and creates the framework for how we will function going forward.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was going to pop into the second part, which is like what leadership looks like.
Go ahead.
So for that, for me in this role, it really looks like facilitating connection and clarity and trust, again, in advancing our work within public safety. Practically for me, this means working closely with my other co-chair, potentially, should I get the role, and as well as the fellow committee members and the new community engagement coordinator role to help stand up those clear processes so that we can create some future focused plans to bring more community members into PCCEP's work. I also believe I have the professional background that is required when it comes to coordinating across many stakeholders and translating complex ideas into accessible messaging, as well as the project management skills to keep projects moving forward without losing sight of how they'll actually impact humans and the people that are at the end of these systems. And that would be basically the framework that I would be looking towards when I think about how to stand up and what leadership would look like in this role.
Okay. Thank you for that. And lastly, how would you represent the perspectives of both committee members and members of the community?
Yeah, this is a good one. So to me, to represent committee members, I would focus on making sure that their ideas and concerns and capacity are clearly reflected in how we plan and prioritize the community engagement that we do. For community members, it means providing opportunities for the committee to listen and truly listen to their concerns and share their ideas without then having to always come to us. And one of my goals that actually covers both of these aspects is getting committee members more into the community and engaging with the community beyond just like the meetings that we have here, while respecting our committee members' time commitment as volunteers.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Are there any questions for Leslie and their decision to run for this co-chair role? All right, now we'll move to a vote. So at this time, please raise your virtual hand. We're going to be voting for Tia first. Please raise your virtual hand in favor of Tia holding a co-chair role of the Community Engagement Subcommittee.
Whoops.
Yeah, definitely vote for yourself. All right, that looks unanimous.
Thank you.
And next, we'll vote for Leslie. So go ahead and lower your virtual hand. There we go. Next, we're voting for Leslie. All those in favor of Leslie holding the co-chair role with Tia for the community, your virtual hand. Okay. Again, another unanimous vote. Outstanding. Congratulations. You have selected Tia and Leslie for your co-chairs for the community.
Hey!
Aw.
Woo!
Outstanding. Y'all have to teach me these Zoom tricks and throwing hands and throwing hearts. It's fantastic. All right. Wonderful. Now the last subcommittee. All right, now it's time for the policy and reform co-chair nominations. Please raise your hand to nominate someone or yourself for these co-chair positions. All right, go ahead, Tia.
I would like to nominate Caitlin.
Okay. And thank you, Tia. Jorge.
I'd like to nominate Vanessa.
Thank you, Jorge. And Pastor Wisener.
Hear me? Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Say again.
Fasa?
Fasika.
Fasika?
Yes.
Okay. So Fasika. Was there another hand? Did someone else raise their virtual hand to either nominate themselves or someone else?
Gabby had their hand up.
Yes. Gabby, did you
I have
want
lowered my hand.
Right on. Yes, Jorge.
Point of clarification. Are we allowed to nominate another person?
Still in a
I'm getting a nod from Dory. My second nomination would be Gabby.
Okay. And then we have Gabby. Any other nominations? All right. At this time, we have 4 individuals who have been nominated for the Policy and Reform Co-Chair um, role. That's
I don't know why
Caitlin.
my name.
Oh, we definitely hear you, Pastor Wisener.
I'm trying to say I don't know why my fingers are moving here, saying up and down.
Okay. Caitlin. We have Caitlin, Vanessa, Fasika, and Gabby have all been nominated for these roles. At this time, we'll move into this space where we will hear from each of these nominations about their candidates.
So I think that they need to accept the nominations or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
since they were all nominated by other people. Yeah.
Right on. Yes, first on the list, Caitlin. Caitlin, do you accept the nomination for this role?
I think we have enough nominations that as somebody newer and still getting their bearings, I would like to see somebody else in that role. So I will decline. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Caitlin. Vanessa, do you accept the nomination?
Unfortunately, no. Thank you so much, Jorge, for the nomination. I want to make sure that I have enough capacity to do the best job, and I just don't see that happening in this very moment.
Thank you, Vanessa. Fasika, do you accept the nomination of this subcommittee?
This is an honor, but I don't have the capacity with school, but thank you.
Thank you, Fasika. Gabby, do you accept nomination of this subcommittee role?
I do.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. At this time, we will move to hearing from Gabby and about her desire to hold this role. Yeah, thank you. And Gabby, could you speak as to can you speak to why do you wish to serve as chair of this subcommittee, Policy and Reform Subcommittee?
Well, police policy is something I care a lot about. It was what I studied in school because I care a lot about it. I think that Portland is a great place to see some really good change, and I really love PCEP's involvement and making sure that change happens and making sure that community is reflected, their perspective is reflected in those changes. I really like being on PCEP. I'm very dedicated to being on PCEP, and I think that I will do a good job in the role. I'll do as best that I can and ask for help when I need to ask for help. And I have no problem delegating assignments as well. And I can keep on top of the ball, running along the ball.
All right. And Gabby, what would leadership look like to you in this role?
In this role, I think that Tia and Kip were doing a great job, and I really learned a lot from watching how they were leading this subcommittee. I think that leadership for this committee definitely looks like, to question number 2, balancing both the community's perspective, the committee's perspectives, and your own perspectives in a fair way. I think it's really important to be on time to give everybody, their due response. I know I can be a little bit hot-headed, but I think I can also be quite even-minded when it comes to the responsibilities of police and their responsibilities to the community, and I don't take that lightly, and that's weighed into everything, that I would say as a leader.
Okay. Thank you for touching on that second question of how would you represent the perspectives of both the committee and the members of the community. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that community members have mentioned that I would really like to start working on. I don't, there's some things that I think kind of like are very important in the moment when there's, let's say, a fatal police killing, and then they kind of go away into the conversation. I think it's really important to keep those things like in front of us and continue to be working on how we can change these things, how we can get responses from leadership, and what influence we can actually have on seeing the change that most people would, really back up.
Okay. Thank you, Gabby. Committee members, is there any questions? Does anyone have any questions for Gabby? Go ahead, Jorge.
Awesome. Yeah, great, Gabby. So one question I had for you is, seeing that you are the only one right now going for the chairmanship, how do you plan to balance it? Just, you're not, you don't get like overwhelmed with everything. How do you plan, like, I guess thinking of it now, is anything coming to mind at this moment of how you plan to balance the work?
Well, I mean, from what I've seen as like a committee member, there's a lot of work done together. I think that if it were to get really overwhelming, I would probably talk to Dory and Liz about that and see if the weight could be taken off my shoulders. It doesn't seem like this would be necessarily a crushing weight. And honestly, my life has very little responsibility. And this is a very important part of my life. So I'm not trying to downplay like the time that needs to be put into it. But I know my limits. I know when to ask for help. And I would really hope that everybody on the committee would also be stoked to be working on things together.
Put us to work. We got you there. That was my question.
All right. Thank you, Jorge. Are there any other questions? Great question, Jorge. Okay. At this time, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. So all those in favor of selecting Gabby as the chair of the Policy and Reform Committee, please raise your subcommittee, please raise your virtual hand. Gabby, remember you also vote. All right. That appears to be a unanimous vote.
Hey,
wonderful.
Gabby got it, and
Congratulations.
Pastor Weiser is on.
Oh, look,
Hey,
there
Good
goes-
times.
Thank you all for stepping up. I am really stoked on this team. Very excited to get some experienced folks and some new folks in these roles. Super excited.
Yeah, right on. Good job, everyone.
Yay! All right. Well, yeah, it feels awkward to transition right after this, but anyone else want to say anything about, I don't know, your feelings?
I'm really happy and excited. I'm really glad Eamon's on the team. I'm so excited to see what community engagement's going to do. This is just a very exciting time to be on PCCEP. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, Gabby. This reminds me that I was gonna have Iman speak a little bit at the beginning of the meeting and we forgot. So Iman, do you wanna I mean, I think most folks here know who you are, maybe not everybody, but maybe also speak a little bit to what you've already been working on and how you're feeling so far.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you all for having me here. Just really love the energy and passion that you all have here for the community, and especially for the city of Portland here, which is very inspiring. Again, hello everybody. My name is Iman. I'm the community engagement coordinator here for PCCEP. I'm just finished 1 month here now with the city and with the program. With my quick bit of background, I'm coming from that some of you all know. I come from the city of Gresham. I was a youth service manager, and I oversaw a youth violence prevention initiative that was focused on East Multnomah County. But now here with PCCEP, my role is really focused on strengthening the connection between PCEP and the community. And for me, that really means just building relationships, showing up in community spaces, creating opportunities for people to share their experiences and perspectives. Now, over the last few weeks, I've really been out in the community quite a bit. You know, I've attended events, I've met with some community partners, I've really just started to build the connections across different groups. For example, I participated in 2 events with an organization called Talk a Mile. And I also went to a youth violence prevention kickoff, which was held at McDaniel High School on Monday, where I was able to meet folks who were connected really with the community, small businesses, and just really starting conversations of what does this future collaboration look like. Tomorrow, I'm going to a community networking event where there should be multiple organizations there, and so I can be able to talk with them. Next Friday, the month of May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and we know the importance of mental health and the work that we do. So there'll be an event where there'll be over 40 organizations focused on mental health. So I'll be there, and I would like to engage with pretty much with most of them, given the opportunity. And really, for me, the things that really stood out for me over the last few weeks is that just people want to be heard, and maybe not through traditional formats. So that's one of the things Dory and I have been kind of talking about, of what can we create that be more engaging and approachable, just ways for people, especially the youth, to be able to elevate and share their voice. So I look forward to being able to work with a subcommittee and just being able to build on those relationships. And I'm just really looking forward to being able to do all that. So thank you all so much for having me around.
Yeah, so just queuing up some of what we'll get into in next week's community engagement subcommittee. But yeah, we're super excited to have Iman finally on board. Been a long road. Tia and Pastor Weisner, I see your hands. Go ahead, Tia.
I was just going to say I'm super excited to work alongside Leslie, and
Yes.
I'm excited to see the creativity we can do with this team. Because when I did talk, sorry, really quick, I did say bring voices back to the subcommittee meetings, but I remember we're able to go out into the community now, and I'm super excited about that.
Yep, totally.
Thank you.
You might be muted, or I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was saying Pastor Weisner has his hand up first. If
Go ahead. Yeah, you were just on my screen first. Go ahead, Pastor Weisner.
Oh, I was fine with Kip. All I wanted to say is thank y'all for your patience allowing me to get on here. Took a little bit for me to get here. But if I do say anything, I am overwhelmed. I'm very emotional with this here where we are today with the qualifications, looking at where we come from historically and looking at this group that's ahead of us. I am so honored to see Leslie and Tia and the history of where that they have engaged so much in coming in from the beginning and continuing to stay the course, but also taking on the leadership of this as well. And then across, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Allen, Elizabeth there, Barb, Sister Antoinette, these who have seen the elevation of where we are and who we are, trying to make sure that we were able to represent the city, giving the accountability to the people who are there, bringing along the right topics and subjects in the areas of who and what we have worked so hard in trying to bring awareness and bridging a lot. And again, I'm taking a little longer to say how emotional I am, but looking at those prospective leaders and has been with us in each of the meetings that we have been in and have helped us push issues and bringing awareness. Give kudos to Barb, which is Cop Watch, but also honoring those who have fought so hard, Bishop Wells, Dr. Hardy, T. Allen Bethel, And there's a list of all those: Senator Avril Gordley, Kathleen Sadat. Our community is really said so much about the hope of the future and the seed that you are here in today, in the season that we're in today. And if I stopped here, I would say to those who were so honored to take on nominations, but felt a little more like there was either time or some more constraints that would hold, where they weren't giving the full areas of what it is to respectively give to the community PCEP. I am looking forward to your roles next, stepping into it. We're getting old, Antoinette. I know you're out there. I can't see you on the line, but we are elders. And these are the ones who are so proud to see us move forward with. Uh, uh, Dory and the staff, Liz, Alfred, you just don't know. I know that you know the hard work that goes behind the scene, collaborating, getting the teams together, the right people gelled together, the minds of what it takes to be able to have a communication and represent all diversity. I am really excited to see the next page of where we are right now, because again, I say there's more work, and that's the real key there. Get ready to go to work because again, it requires us to spend some study time, relationship time. And with that being said, Kip, I look forward to working with you, and maybe we can get together for coffee. But I would like to personally meet each and every one, just to sit down and talk coffee and perspectives, and getting to know you and the things that you represent as the new chair for this. And I am going to pause there and thank you again.
Yeah, well, so Pastor Wisner said exactly what I was going to say. So, but no, I echo everything he just said. Really grateful for the support. I'm really stoked that A, we're codified. B, we have Iman on board, and C, we have all these new folks on board to join what's already been, I think, one of the most productive committees that I've been on in the 2.5 years. So I'm really excited for what we can accomplish going forward with all these wins that we've had. So really excited for the new subcommittee co-chairs, and Gabby. Yeah, absolutely. T and I, as you've seen in chat, here to help you out with that, because there's a lot there. So, but thank you all. Appreciate it.
And then as a person and recognized as a pastor, there's names that's always being remembered. Jorge, again, are young and ambitious, and one who has got more future because he's the youngest of us all. To say a lot about where and to see you and the honor that you have given me and respect. Whatever I can do to come along and be able to be a part of the venture and the future with what you see as representing what it is for us as a people that you give time for. I'd be glad to be at availability to you and lend a hand of what I have, whatever that may be.
Thank you, Pastor Reiser.
Yes, thank you for raising that, Pastor Weisner. A huge thank you to Conrad and Jorge for stepping up as interim chairs and getting us through a little bit of a weird time. We really, really appreciate all of your work as well. So thank you for serving. And thank you, Kip and Tia, for your former roles, and excited to see your work in your new ones. All right. I love all the positivity. I needed this. Okay. Well, let's take care of a little more business while we're on this note. So we are going to get into subcommittee assignments and schedule next. So as we all know, again, we're adding a new subcommittee in the community engagement subcommittee. So we would like to ask you in this meeting to commit to the subcommittee or subcommittees that you would like to be a member of. So per our current bylaws, members are, it stipulates that members must join at least one. And it does permit you to join both at the moment. So we have not done this in this meeting before. We have historically done this via email. I guess I am, we could just do raising hands as usual. We could do more of a discussion. I am open to your thoughts on approach here. You could stipulate in the chat. Pastor Weiser says both. Okay.
Sorry, I recommend a roll call since everyone has to be assigned. Just go and just select each member by name and ask them which committees they'd like to serve on.
That's a good call. Yeah. Jorge, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a point of order to bring forward an amendment regarding the subcommittee assignments.
And that would be an amendment to the bylaws.
Yes.
Yes, we saw that come in this afternoon, a couple hours before the meeting. I am typically bylaws review is something we would circulate the drafts far in advance and post them publicly for review, as well as consult with the mayor's office and the city attorney's office. So as far as taking a vote on changing the bylaws on the fly in this meeting, I don't feel confident about that process. Conrad?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. If I may, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jorge, I think we would be best served as a committee if everyone just focused on one subcommittee at this juncture, and then we can discuss more as the new leadership takes form. But you know, that would just, I think, satisfy the intent of that proposal while also allowing folks to start planning their schedule. So everyone should be on a subcommittee. It seems like we'd be better served if we just focused on one subcommittee per person, knowing that you can attend the other one, but in terms of that's where the focus should be. Food for thought.
I don't believe it's a massive argument compared to the other amendment that I had offered regarding responsibilities for those in leadership. I would want to obviously have a further conversation on that one at a future time, but seeing that this one is really just changing language on at least one, it specifically says one, it doesn't seem as a big issue, but I'd like to present that to the group to get feedback. Maybe the group seems confident, seems okay with just that small change. If it seems like it's a bigger change, then I'm happy to discuss this at a later time.
Stop sharing. Gabby?
I understand what you're saying, Jorge, and I think it's a good idea, and I think what Conrad said is a good idea. I think right now, like, it sounds like we can't go to a vote based on like the way things have been done in the past. Like there's like an order of things, and I think that I agree with you that that is the way we should do things, and that you should choose one committee and put your efforts towards that. That's all I'll say about that.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for me to make a distinction between being a member of a subcommittee, but attending both subcommittees if people have the time and ability to do so. So it seems like a subtle distinction to me. But if folks feel that they have the time and effort to be involved in both subcommittees, I would encourage it personally.
Leslie.
Pastor Weisner. had
Oh,
their hand up first, and then
I
Leslie.
apologize. My screen is being weird. Go ahead, Pastor Reiser.
Oh, I'm never feeling uncomfortable who name is called. I was just gonna ask for me, I've not been able to open any documents that has been sent out for email to follow along with this subject. So I'm gonna be in a little areas of just listening right now because I'm trying to catch and if it's what Kip has said, I would agree with where Kip was at. For those who have the limitations and the capability, if it's just about bandwidth, I'm not sure, but I haven't seen the request or the adjustment for what we're talking when we use the terminology of bylaws. Again, I apologize because documents, and I think I've emailed that out for some reason, I'm not able to open those documents.
Okay. All right, Pastor Weiser. Leslie?
Yeah, so because it was circulated so close to this meeting, I do think that there's deliberation that needs to happen and discussion because I think what you put forward, Jorge, definitely makes sense. But I also see where Kip is coming from because, and I might lean more closely to that side if folks feel like they have the capacity. We don't know everybody's situation. If they feel like they have the capacity to participate as a full committee member in both, then, why would we put that stipulation on them? So I think there's more discussion that needs to be had and consensus that needs to be built. So I don't think we can decide right now. Or I guess I'll speak for myself. I don't feel personally able to decide for myself.
Thank you, Leslie. Go ahead, Gabby.
Yeah, I was just gonna agree with what Leslie and also what Kip had said. There's like a nuance to it, like the difference is nuanced, but that nuance is what we would need to vote on, or that would be the change in the bylaws rather. So, yeah.
Caitlin, I saw your hand go up but go down. Are you good?
I mean, my whole thing is that I think that, I'm understanding that the reception of the information is, based on making sure that somebody's putting all of their efforts somewhere and being as effective as they can be. I think there's also a consideration that if you're able to be a full committee member on two different subcommittees, you have more voting power than the other people that don't have the time and capacity to be on both subcommittees. So I think there's something to be said there where there's just kind of a check and balance involved in that. And I think there's some value in that too.
Caitlin, that's an interesting point that I haven't heard before. I will just throw out there if there's a desire to consider something like that, PCCEP might also want to consider like stipulating a maximum number per sub because there are some considerations here where it's like, well, what happens then if you can only join one and everyone wants to join community engagement, right? So it might seem simple, but it might create some new challenges that we just haven't had time to consider or work through. And also, I think like we can discuss this as an idea, but we are not in a place to vote on this. This is not a bylaws revision meeting. So yeah, go ahead, Jorge.
I was not expecting a vote. I was expecting just a conversation oriented around this. I will withdraw. The only thing I do expect and have an ask of our new full committee co-chairs, Wisner and Kip, and from our staff is if we can commit to having a conversation on this because we've have tried to do. There were some changes in the fall that we had proposed that there was not full consensus on, and we were going to have a conversation about it later on. Obviously, that didn't happen because a lot of things occurred in those several months. So I'm asking for some commitment to actually having a conversation later, whether that be in the next policy subcommittee or in the next full committee or in the following month.
I'm committed to that. But I also not I went back and tried to open up those documents again, and I'm not able to access any of those that you sent over. So if there is a way Liz or Dory can probably get it into a Word document that I can open up other than my city, because there's something going on there.
You may just not have PDF. That it might be a PDF thing on your computer, but we can troubleshoot that with you later on.
Okay, it does say Word on it. That's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We can help. We can try to troubleshoot. Caitlin?
Yeah, the only other thing I would care to add is that I do think it sounds like we have a couple conversations we need to have about structure now that we have both committees back up and running. And also that, you know, it's stated in what's written that Jorge shared that nothing saying you can't attend and participate in both subcommittees. It's just that you can't vote in both subcommittees. So if you've got the time and you've got the bandwidth and you've got the heart for it, you can still participate and do both of the things and do all the things. It just keeps that voting piece, right? That's the piece that's for discussion. So.
Yes, I think it's clear based on this conversation, there actually is a good bit to discuss here. I think one thing I'll say about the bylaws is that it's sort of a constant, we're trying to balance the work where like, we used to say, we try to prevent this from being the Portland Committee on Community Engaged PCEP, where the only thing we do is internal process stuff. So we do try to like balance the amount of time we spend revising the bylaws, but there is basically always stuff to update. Like we absolutely do need to revise them soon because we just changed, for instance, we now have 15 members, so the numbers are all outdated. So there will absolutely be occasion for that. And I'm sure there will be plenty of other things to get into at that time. I will just say for the purposes of this meeting and whatever intervening period, the bylaws currently state that members must join at least one, which means that you are able to join both. That is what our bylaws say. And we cannot change those tonight. Yeah, and so, you know, just consider your individual capacity. And of course, we do want representation on both of these subcommittees. So with all that said, anything more to add to the conversation we've been having?
Okay. So at this time, we'll jump into committee members selecting which committees you'd like to be on. I'll go ahead and call your name, and if you can come off mute and just say which committees you're interested in, we'll take note and gather that up. I'm going according to who I see on the. I'm gonna go to the participant list. Go ahead, Tia.
I would like to be on the community engagement subcommittee.
Oh, well.
And I would like to attend policy and reform when I can, hoping to make all those meetings. And we'll always be at the full committee.
Okay.
So Tia, to clarify, just so, because we're going to be making note of this, to clarify, you do not wish to be a formal member of the policy and reform subcommittee?
Oh, well, I hope to, can I still attend the meetings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I was in the bathroom when you gave directions, I think.
So for the time being, members per our bylaws are allowed to join both if you would like. So I just want to clarify if you would wish to be a formal member of that subcommittee or just, you know, or just a term.
Just the community engagement subcommittee, please.
Okay. Yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Conrad.
Oh, sorry, Frida. I in the chat, I'd like to go last. I'd like to make sure that both subcommittees are as balanced as possible. So I want to go with the one that needs somebody.
Scott.
Okay. All right.
Love it.
Thank you, Conrad. Yeah, I didn't see the chat. Fasika.
Community engagement.
Okay. Thank you. Gabby?
Policy.
Thank you. Jorge?
Policy.
Thank you. Caitlin? Thank you. Kip?
Policy and reform.
Thank you. Leslie?
Engagement.
Thank you. Pastor Wisener?
Community engagement. And out in the policy, because there's only one so far there.
So do you want to be a former
Both.
member of the policy?
Yeah, both.
Okay.
So far, it's only one person in there, or two people, I think, Jorge and.
There's more in policy
There's more than it.
than in community engagement.
Okay, I'll stay community engagement and then see what the counties look like, both sides, like Conrad.
Okay. Vanessa?
Community engagement.
Okay. Dory, what are we looking like as far as how many is on each?
5 right now.
Yep. 5 for community engagement, 4 for policy and reform.
Okay. Conrad?
I guess it's policy. Let's keep it balanced.
Beautiful.
All right. Wonderful. And Pastor Wisener, it's currently balanced at 5 and 5 in each. Would you like to join the Policy and Engagement Committee?
Both strengths. Where is my biggest strength? AT.
I have a point of clarification.
She tells me to keep
Okay.
keep your sanity. I'll stay where I'm at right now.
You stay where you're at.
Right now.
Yes. Sorry.
I see that smile over there.
For Faraya, who is not present, as well as, is there any update regarding committee members Viva and Andrew?
No, and I think per our bylaws actually, which currently state that if any member misses more than a third of scheduled meetings within, I want to say a year, I think that they are essentially they meet the criteria to be removed. Generally, we only formally remove members through like the appointment process in terms of the documentation, but they have been absent for certainly more than a third of the meetings.
So current membership would be
11.
11? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Just checking on that. So
But we will touch base with Faraya about her selection.
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I vote now for also being a part of policy and reform.
Okay, so you would like to be a part of policy and
Let's
reform.
do, after that clarification. I'm reading now policy recommendations and analyze.
Okay. And so that's 5 in community engagement and 6 in policy and reform.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Babs, did you have a quick question? I see you're over
Well, I wasn't called on, and so now I'm wondering, have I been eliminated? I mean, I still get all the emails and I follow as closely as I can, but I wasn't asked what committee I want to be on. So I've never been informed that I'm no longer a part of this. So
Oh, you are a very important part of our work. This is for subcommittee selection is for formal members of the PCEP who went through the appointment process with the mayor and council. Yes, but we would absolutely love to see you at any and all subcommittees that we have. You're a very, very key part of it. Yes.
So I'm just a random community member.
Well, you're definitely,
You're
yes,
not
very,
random. No,
very, not
no, you're
random at
very
all.
important.
Very important.
Right. And I did put something in the chat to both you and Kip. So I don't know if you've had a chance to see that.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely part of the open comment period. Well, let's talk about that.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
No, it's all
Yes, but
good.
we'd love to get your thoughts on that at the end.
Yeah,
So
no.
dang many meetings. I just get so confused about
No
the
problem. No
format.
problem.
I feel that, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
We can relate. Yeah, we're happy to have you here. Thanks, Babs.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, yes, this turned out very balanced. Happy to see this. Yeah. So we will be in touch about, well, I guess so the next piece we have to touch on is scheduling. Let's skip to that. So as you guys know, we are in a little bit of flux due to a couple of new Wednesday night meetings that have popped on this year. One being the evening city council meeting on the third Wednesday, and the other being the CBPA meeting on the second Wednesday. So now that we're gonna have 3 Wednesdays per month scheduled, we should have a discussion about meeting cadence. There inherently is going to be some overlap, so I think it's just a matter of deciding like which overlap is acceptable to you, if that makes sense. So yeah, I will just open the floor. Jorge?
Kaylin went first. Go ahead, Kaylin.
I just wanted to say that I think it makes sense for PNR to go after community engagement, since it's taking like the input from community engagement.
Jorge?
I was going to recommend what was I gonna recommend? Oh, I was gonna recommend the first Wednesday be full committee, second week be community engagement, and fourth week be policy and reform. Second, we're gonna with city council, I think city council is way more important than CBPA. Both are very equally important. But I think city council is a little bit more, and with CBPA, there's going to be conflict there. There's always going to be conflict there because their scheduling is a little bit weird. But for me personally, I think that's what I would recommend. I have already a meeting cadence for another advisory body during the fourth Wednesday of each month, so I wouldn't be able to attend anything. Yep.
Yeah, we had talked about, I think, I can't remember which conversation it was in, but that with Iman on board and community engagement, hopefully broadening its scope, that we could have community engagement be more flexible about what days it could be on, rather than just a Wednesday evening. So I don't know if that's Conrad asked the question in chat, but I don't think we're relegated to a Wednesday, right? I do feel like with CBPA, it splits too much of folks that have a vested interest in the outcomes of both of our committees. And it really feels like conflicting with it is not going to be in the best interest of either committee.
Yeah, I just want to, because we're talking about this now, and I see Caitlin in the chat and Conrad. So yeah, in theory, in the future, PCCEP could switch to a different day, but we, fully acknowledge and appreciate that everyone on this body joined with the understanding that it's a
Right.
Wednesday commitment. So it's not an easy, like, let's just change the day kind of thing. It's more like probably would take like a full year. So for now, we are stuck with Wednesdays. I think there is potentially more flexibility with community engagement subcommittee out in community space, where they're likely with Iman's work, there's just going to be a higher volume of stuff happening with that committee, and some of it will probably not be on Wednesdays. But I think regularly, as far as like, and we'll get into discussions about what those subcommittee meetings are even going to look like next week. But yeah, anyways, I'll hold it there. Gabby?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I've said it before, I'm just going to say it again. And I think it's so important that we don't miss like scheduled meetings, that we don't move them around and send like an email out like 2 weeks before, like, oh, we're changing the date, and how it is just really important that we are very steady in what we do. I agree with Jorge that the full committee meeting should be on the 1st. I think that just makes sense to me in general. And I know there's going to be a conversation about this, but my impression of like some of the changes with the community engagement is that they might be going out into the community, and so that their dates would be a little bit more flexible, and that like going on a second or a fourth Wednesday wouldn't be that, like, could be part of their mission anyway. So I'm not going to say anything about when they should be, but I don't think policy and reform should be conflicting with any other meetings, and it shouldn't. I think the full meeting should be on the 1st. Is what I'm saying.
I think that proposal makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
So locking in terms of the cadence, full committee on the 1st Wednesday, policy and reform on the 4th Wednesday, and then community engagement, understanding the fluidity there is maybe something that will be worked out more as that subcommittee comes to form. But still targeting Wednesdays for sure. But I think that piece is something that the subcommittee could discuss next week. Does that sound acceptable, Jorge?
Just for our new community engagement subcommittee co-chairs, Leslie and Tia. So excited to start saying that now. Perhaps, and if this is possible, obviously, because staff have to coordinate this. I don't know how folks feel about the weekends, just because work days, and with members of the public, especially if you want to interest them, weekends are typically available, question mark, but just something to consider.
Yeah, I think it would depend, and I definitely think this should be an agenda item for the next week's meeting that we already have scheduled, because the work is fluid and there might be times like we've talked about where we go into the community, but those won't be every meeting. So having like a target date for when we do have the community engagement meetings would be ideal. When that is, that's TBD based on additional conversation, but it would be nice to like, I don't know, I kind of see the community days as more of like an add-on sometimes than the default of how the committee functions.
Yeah, I just want to give those of you who joined the community engagement subcommittee some peace of mind, where I think we are still very much committed to the Wednesdays that you committed to. Iman and I have been discussing all kinds of like, it's like, how do we create continuity and predictability for you all being in space with community, but also like diversify like opportunities to be out there and create capacity for you to do that. So these are all things that we're thinking about. I do think like, yeah, we'll talk more about this. But I will say, I think having community engagement be the one that does conflict with either council or CBPA makes the most sense, because it is least likely to take audience away from people who are already at other city meetings, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. I think if we set on a date that we can have community engagement meetings, we can try to have those, because if there are folks, well, okay, now that I'm saying that, I'm almost kind of taking it back, because if folks really want have something to say, then they would prioritize the meeting that they need to attend. But then that also puts them in a conflicting vote. So maybe that's not the best. But yeah, I agree. Like this is the one that could be a little bit more flexible.
And ideally, hopefully, if we do it right, reaching people who aren't already plugged into city council meetings and CBPA meetings. So yeah.
Right.
Tia?
That's what I was going to say a minute ago. Is it bad, or how bad is it if we just go ahead and say we're the second or third Wednesday and then everyone just has to work it out? But were we I feel like we were talking, especially in policy, that we should be showing up at more city council meetings.
Yeah, I think all of this stuff is going to be really good to check in on in our meetings of the subcommittees.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
the reconstituted groups. Gabby.
Yeah, so I agree with like showing up in meetings and stuff. And are we gonna have like a full discussion about like how we're gonna be like getting along together as committees? Like, is that what we're doing right now? I'm not quite sure what we're like. I guess because community engagement hasn't had their meeting yet. But after that, we'll all be discussing about what it looks like when we're working together.
Yeah, I think that's going to be important. I think potentially the steering committee might be an opportunity to get into that a little bit. But as a first step, that community engagement subcommittee should work to start defining like what they think the work is going to look like and what their sort of deliverables will be. But yeah, Gabby, I think that's going to be important. And we could start to do that at the end of this month. Jorge.
Based on the consensus that there is for the meeting cadence, would those start being implemented in June, I assume?
Yes. Yeah.
Copy. Thank you.
All right. Okay, we've already done a lot in this meeting. We do have, so I'm kind of just want to take sort of the temperature. If you want to get into the last item or maybe save it, or maybe just a brief overview or something like that. So what we have for you is, yeah, it's an internal process document that Kip and some others have collaborated on. I'm just kind of getting the sense that maybe it might be a little much to get into a whole other document review right now. But maybe Kip, do you want to speak to the work you've done on this and anything you'd like to ask from your fellow members? Ask for?
Yeah, it's been a long day for me too. But I think it would be great to reshare it out and do some asynchronous input.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's probably best. I'm already like, I don't know that I want to get into it. I've been talking process all day long at work.
Yeah, I agree. I think yeah. I think that's the right call for tonight.
Yeah.
So summarizing the meeting cadence thing, because we just got a message about it. I believe what we agreed on is full committee first Wednesday, policy and reform last Wednesday of the month. Or fourth Wednesday of the month. Is my understanding of that correct?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Full committee first Wednesday. Policy and reform fourth Wednesday.
But in May,
starting June.
Starting in June.
Starting in
Right.
June. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
The May meetings are already set, which are
Right.
currently community engagement and the steering committee, which is
Yeah, perfect.
global. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. Jorge?
question. Well, this is towards Skip. Kip, when you send out the core process, can you make it like where we can comment?
It should be. People have commented on it, but we'll make sure.
All right. Thanks. Thanks.
Cool. Okay. I know we have a lot of community members who have been very patient in this meeting. So, does anyone object to opening it up to open public comment? All right. Babs, the floor is yours. And anyone else who has open public comment, please raise your hand.
Okay, thank you so much. Mine will be quick. It's just a reminder that tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 4, the Portland City Council will have a meeting. Some of you probably already know this. The agenda item proposed by City Councilor Samir Canal, who's in my district too. Agenda item 2026-111. It's to ban masks worn by ICE and by Portland police, because sad but true, there's been evidence that some people are out there saying they're police officers and they aren't. So there's already 118 written comments, including mine. I'm sure there will be more. And there's about 30 people, as of a couple hours ago, signed up to give verbal testimony. So just FYI. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. I see Dr. Allen. Go ahead, Dr. Allen.
On the subject of banning masks, does anybody know about cases that have gone to the courts about banning masks? We aren't the first people to have tried it. Maybe other cities in Oregon or maybe other states?
I believe Seattle passed a mask ban as a city. There are others, but I don't know them off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's correct. And there was some talk about, was it the state of Minnesota, where a young woman was shot just recently. So there's been discussion there. So, and I don't know of other cities off the top of my head, but Dr. Allen, I could certainly find out if you want me to. Thank you.
And I know Los Angeles did too, or the state of California did, and I know the
That's right.
Board of Appeals struck that down. So I'm curious how that's going to look like in Oregon if it gets struck down too.
Yeah, well, we can just hope for the best and make our voices heard. Thank you.
You said Board of Appeals struck it down. You mean a circuit court, like the Fifth or the?
The one that covers the Pacific Northwest, I believe, is the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that struck down.
Which means that they cover Oregon as well as California?
They cover they cover Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, just the entire Pacific Northwest.
So will that be relevant to the city council?
I think to the policy, because it is very similar to what Portland is trying to do to the state law that California passed. Yeah, to what Christopher put in the chat.
Yeah, except for and this is why I raised my hand, is that this ordinance is not just about masks, but it's also about compelling officers to identify themselves when they're engaging with people. And that's critical, because anybody who has the power of the state behind them should be able to self-identify who they are so that they're accountable whether it deals with a mask or not. So that's really important. Additionally, Oregon Working Families Party is having a rally tomorrow. Also, I think it's from noon to 4. Along with this. So anybody who's interested, you could also show up and join that.
Yeah. One quick thing also too, I forgot to say that Kip just reminded me, but Oregon also passed a state law this past legislative session that also targeted exactly to what Councilor Canelo is doing. It just pushes it, emphasizes it more. So we are in the clear on that.
I'm sure there will be lots of discussion.
No.
Yeah. All right. Any other open public comment? Oh, Pastor Weiser.
Yes, I did post in the chat that there will be on May, we are having a Black Community Summit. And it will be at Portland College in collaboration with Coalition of African American Pastors, IPAC, as well as AMA. The theme is, where do we go from here? Seeing how our city and our nation right now is at a crossroad. And as Dr. Martin Luther King eloquently described in his last book, where do we go from here? This summit will have our city manager, Raymond Lee, as guest speaker. On the Saturday, there will be food as well as workout sessions there for a discussion. And then on Friday, we have J.T. Flowers of 1803. And our discussion of working toward the Black agenda and policies, social, economics, and culture education area around the city, as well as in the state. And we want to invite everyone in those through those workshops that we will be having as well. Any thoughts or questions? And please share the information. It is registration online for those as well.
Will do. Thanks, Pastor Weisner. All right. 8:01. And I think we can close this meeting out. So as we've said, our next meeting is the Community Engagement Subcommittee meeting next Wednesday, which will be virtual. And Iman's first meeting with the subcommittee, supporting the subcommittee. So, and with all of our new members and our new chairs, exciting stuff. And our next full committee meeting, I see in the chat, yes, will be June 3rd.
Thank you. Just trying to get a grip on all the schedules.
Yes, and the steering committee the week before that. Yes, in June, we should be able to settle into that new cadence and stick to it thereafter. Yeah, thanks for clarifying, Vanessa.
It's my eldest kid's birthday. She'll be thrilled.
Invite her to the meeting. Oh, Leslie.
I have tried.
Yeah, I just have a question because since now Tia and I lead that committee, we owe you an agenda, right?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. We will reach out to you. So Iman and I had already been planning for this because, you know, you're in these seats immediately and the meeting is next week. I think this will very much be a collaborative process with staff, especially Iman and the committee, kind of working on your structure and how you're going to work. So the first couple of agendas, of course, in consultation with the chairs, but we have some thoughts about things we'd like to propose to you for your comments on. So we will reach out to you and Tia tomorrow, but we already have some thoughts about some of the structural things to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay, well, congratulations again to our new leadership team. I'm truly very excited. Thank you all, and have a great night.
Excellent.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Night. Thank
Dory,
you.
what is our
Good
next
night.
meeting?
Good night.
May.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Our meeting May